Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Life Pieces by Millie Marion. A special shout out to Lux Entertainment for producing this show and King Lux TV for airing it. Stay blessed. Story time. So, every single time one breaks their bone or they get a fracture, there's a myth or fact, depending on how you look at it, that says that at one given point during healing, that bone is considered to be the strongest in the body because of all the calciums that it brings in. It forms something called callus, and as it tries to heal and to mend itself at one particular point during healing, it's considered the most strong bone in the body. And afterwards, after now the bone has completely healed, then now it ends up being in equal strength with the rest of the bone, or acquiring its previous strength before you got the fracture or before it fractured. So having talked about forgiveness in season 1, right now what I want to talk about is how do you move after you've forgiven someone. How do you mend that broken relationship? Of course, there's always that cliche thing of they don't need to be in your life. You can love them from a distance. You can cut ties and move on. But what if it is someone that you can't cut ties with? It's your parent, it's your spouse, it's your child, it's your colleague at work. You can't quit work because of a conflict. So how do you move past the conflict resolution? You have forgiven them, but how do you accept them back to be able to get into your circle, into your square, and into your circle of influence? As usual, we usually start with a verse here. In Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 to 30, it says, "Come to me, you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest in your soul. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." What I would want to encourage you is to take it to the Lord in prayer. God knows you. God created you. He knitted you together in your mother's womb. And right now you can be able to come to Him with sincerity of heart, as we usually say, and just say, "God, you know what? I can't handle this." It's one thing to forgive them. It's another thing to allow them back into my space. And I am finding it so hard. God is telling you right now, take my burden is super light. Let me, cast all your cares unto me, for I care for you. Cast your burdens, cast your worries, cast your anxiety, cast each and everything that you're worried about in regards to that situation, and let God talk. And let God prove Himself true to you. Let Him guide you through each and every step that you should take. As we move on, another verse in 1 John chapter 4, verse 12, starting from verse 11 to 13 says, "Dear friends, since God so loved us, we ought to love one another. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us, and His love is made complete in us. We know that we live in Him, and He is in us because He has given us His Spirit." Do you believe that God has given you His Spirit? Do you believe that God really lives in you? Do you believe that that you can be able to love? Because 1 Corinthians says, "Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, does not boast." If love is all those things, then talk to God about it and tell Him you will want to accept this particular person the way they are, but not giving an excuse for their behavior or for their wrongdoing, but because you want to move, you want to become the mature person and move past the hurt, past the disappointment, past the anger. And God says that I am love, and if you believe that I live in you, then you will also love your neighbor as you love yourself. And it's something that really takes a lot of courage. And I would want to first commend you for taking a step of faith to say, "What? I am casting my burdens, I am forgiving, I am moving on." And it's the first step towards reconciliation. And the moment you have been able to forgive, you've been able to sort out the issues, you can now say, "You know what? Let us mend our relationship." Just the same way Jesus died on the cross, so that God and you could be reconciled to him. Imagine if God just said, you know what, Adam and Eve, I forgive you. That's it, but I want nothing to do with you. You will go, you will toil. You already know, if you know your portion, you're going to have childbirth, and you're going to experience so much pain. Adam, you know your punishment. The snake, you know your punishment. Out of my sight, I am done with you. Imagine if God told you that. Imagine if right now in your circumstances and the things that you have done wrong, if God said, I forgive you, but I want nothing to do with you. Where will we be? Right now, we're not looking at what this person did or whatever the situation was like. We've already forgiven that person. Right now, it is time for us to see them the way God sees them. You know, when God looks at that particular person, your offender, he doesn't see that mistake. Of course, he knows the mistake happened, but when he looks at him or he looks at her, he sees God's own creation, someone created in the image and likeness of God. And God loves that person so dearly. So one thing that I'll want you to pray is to tell God, help me see what you see in this person. Help me envision. When I close my eyes, I'm not seeing the past, I'm not seeing the heart, but I'm seeing the vision, I'm seeing the plans that you have for this person. And help me to love him the way you love me, even with my sins. Until next time, I'm your host, Mildred. Stay blessed. Keep subscribing, keep commenting, and let us know what you want us to talk about next. Thank you, and God bless.